Welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubois Jr. I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you for tuning in to try to figure out some more about your dog. Today, I want to talk about something when it comes down to these dogs that I've been really just paying a lot more attention to, just simple, subtle, small little things. And that's fear. And fear can make something do something wild, do something crazy, just kind of just like lash out. And then in reality, you can do something in that level of fear that can put you in a sticky situation at the end of the day. And this isn't only just with dogs, but it's with us as human beings. Because like every time that, not every time, but most times when we run into that scenario that we're in fear, it's like we have it in us that we got to like do something. Like you got to do something. And the main thing I want to talk about today is do nothing when you get into that level of fear. When something's going on that you start to feel trapped, you start to feel stuck, just do nothing and wait and just relax and just chill and just calm down and then see what's going to happen. And then you're going to be able to make a better, wiser, more just educated guess of what to do next, as opposed to just if you just rush into something, you're going to be stumbling and fumbling. And this is what's going on with these dogs, because it's something that is fascinating. It's as if we're like trying to correct the dog for being scared, or we're trying to reward the dog for being scared, as if the dog like wanted it. It chose to be scared. It had it in itself. It's like I don't like the dog, and I'm going to force myself to be scared of that. Or because the main thing we need to look at, that's not the way that it works. The dog is scared and in fear of something because of something that has happened. And in most cases, it's because of a misunderstanding of what's going on. And nowadays, I see a lot of dogs in fear from what we as humans are putting onto the dogs. We're rewarding them and we're punishing them. We're just going back and forth and doing this. And the dog's like, is this okay? Is that okay? Is this all right? Is that all right? So the dog doesn't know. So now we're adding layers and layers and layers that not only is the dog, say, nervous of just something that's just in its environment that it just who knows why of, but now we're like imposing our will on the dogs of forcing them to be even more scared of things. And depending on what you're doing here, and depending on how the dog is seeing it, this is where most of these dogs and most of these cases, this is why stuff gets worse when you try to correct the dog out of the reactivity that it's got. And when you try to give treats to a dog to get it out of the said reactivity that's in. That's why you're like, at the end of the day, this is something that I just kind of see across the board. You just keep having to do it. You just can't get out of it. Like you're going and going and going, and you can have like it's better some days, it's better or worse other days, but it's like you're on this constant, what words I want to use here is battle. You're in a constant battle for like the remainder of the dog's life to be able to figure out how to be able to make sure that this dog's going to be okay, instead of just doing nothing. You see that because this is just something fascinating that's been going on. You know, this is unfortunate. I've been in the vets with this dog and Ophelia, my Dalmatian as well. We've been having to do some vet visits and some vet stuff, and it's fascinating to be able to see what's going on with these dogs and what happens when they start to get in that level of fear. You know, my Dalmatian, I take her into the vet office and she's like, whoa, why are y'all staring at me? What's going on? And her first instinct is to like get close to me. And the main thing right here is now I have choices. I can either touch her, pet her, give her treats, or I can correct her. And that's the two methods that pretty much everyone's doing right now. And the main method that I want to say that we should be doing is nothing at all. Because there's two different experiences that went on with these vet visits. In the one vet visit, I'm going to say with the Dalmatian, it was much more pleasant. There was no trickery going on here. The people were just like, I'm going to say completely in tune with understanding what dogs are all about. She saw the dog was scared. She didn't come with the, oh, here's a treat, baby, here's a treat. Because it's the first thing that we like doing. Treat, 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 treat. I see you're scared, treat, treat, treat. And it just doesn't make it better. Because the dog starts to look at you like, what are you doing? What's going on? What you trying to do to me? As opposed to this girl just sat down. She literally just sat on the floor. And this dog tried to lean up on me. And I'm like, I'm not, because you're looking at me like, please, 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 like do something. And I'm like, for me, just looking at the scenario, I'm just going to be that leader to say, we're not in danger right here, right now. We're good. And I got to be firm and be strong with that. Say, I know that you may be nervous. For one, I'm not nervous. And no one should be nervous here right now. There's nothing dangerous that's going on in this moment. And this is where I just took this dog. I literally just picked her up and I put her and I just said, you're there. This is where you need to be right now. And she looked back at me and seeing that I'm not, for one, giving into doing anything to try to like get her out of this fear, but I'm just standing her there to just say, we're fine. And we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it in a way of understanding that I'm not putting you in danger. Now, if you're putting the dog in danger, that's a different situation. But in most cases, none of us are doing that. Even if I'm saying go to the dog park and stay away from the dog park, you're not putting the dog in danger. Now, if you take your dog and you're putting it into somewhere where a dog is, you're trying to create a dog fight to happen, and you're forcing and you're egging the dog on to try to bite and attack your dog. Now that's, don't do that, please. That's not what I'm talking about here, is getting the dogs to get through their fear of doing nothing with the dog. But the more that we're trying to like do something here, this is where the dogs start to get more suspicious. Because this dog came into this vet office, suspicious as all can be. But then she saw someone just looked at her and said, hey, I got nothing. You know, you can come to me. I'm not here to bribe you with anything. I'm not here to correct you in any way. I'm just here. And I'm going to sit here and just hang out here. And you can come to me when you want to come to me. And she didn't want to go to her until I got her up and I said, get off of me. Get off of me. Stop doing this to me. You're safe. And then she looked at me and she went straight to that girl. I was like, what's up? How you doing? And she gave her a little pet and she's like, ooh, what are you going to do? Basically, like thinking they're going to like smother her or hold her down. And she didn't. She just pet her and said, you know, go away basically. And just ignored the dog. And I'm like, this girl has gone through some real good lessons of how to actually work with dogs. And then she left. And then the Dalmatian went right back to that girl like, hey, you know, I can hang out with you. You're not trying to do nothing crazy to me. It's fascinating that this dog saw someone just being real, being themselves, being natural. And she just relaxed all of that energy. She just, you see, the dog just calmed down, just, whoo, we're good to go. Everything's chill. Whereas I have a completely different scenario that happened with this dog when I took him to the vet. The number one thing that this place like to do is you want a cookie. And I'm like, you know, just give him the treat, whatever. We'll see how he acts. And this dog growled at that. Gave him the treat. And the dog, he came up and took the treat. And then he instantly looked at her and she tried to reach her hand again with no treat in the hand this time. He reached the hand again. And that boy said, he growled. He looked right at her. As like, what are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? Extremely suspicious. And it didn't help him through the fear at all. It actually reinforced his fear even more. It made him just like really wonder, what's about to happen? What are you trying to do to me? And I'm just sitting here watching all this in real time. And then I realized like that we got it. I had unfortunately used a little bit of pressure on him to get him get out of it, because it went downhill as soon as that treat went into that boy's mouth. It was like, just scrap this, done, finished. We got to get done. We got to get it and just get the heck out of here. And thankfully, he doesn't have to go back for 6 to 12 months. So we'll work on that later on. I just had to scrap it. We're finished here. And then it was an interesting situation of watching, because the main thing is my Johnny man. Because there's videos of him, because this is why I had to have him in a specific state, because he would just take off at those cows. It's the cows, it's not the goats, it's not dogs, it's the cows. He's terrified of these cows. I don't know why and what has happened to him to make him terrified of it. But I can't say to him, that's not valid, buddy. You can't be, why are you scared? As if he forced himself to want to be that and do that. So I'm allowing him to be able to get around. And the main thing is that calmness. I'm calm. I put the Dalmatian there and I'm calm, I'm chill. I just sat back in a chair like, girl, you figure it out. You'll be fine. You're fine. And she sees that I'm calm, that I'm not like tense. I'm not like, oh baby, oh baby. I'm not like treat. I'm not like holding the leash. I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing. And I'm allowing her to be able to assess the scenario for herself to see what the heck's gonna happen now. And the same thing I'm seeing with my Johnny man. My big, I don't know what that dog is. I might get a DNA test on him someday. But watching him and seeing how he is around these cows. And the more and more that I just, like, I'm calm, I do nothing. I'm not putting that pressure. You better this, you better down. Or I'm not throwing treats at him. I'm just allowing him to just, if you want to stand, stand. You want to sit. You want to down. Do what you do. But the main thing is you're not going to pursue them. And he doesn't want to pursue them when he sees that everything is relaxed. When everything is chill. When he's looking at me, he's studying me. He's like, dude, you're not going to do anything about it? Look, they're coming. They're right there. They're right. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, we're fine. We're not in danger. Nothing's going to happen. If we were in danger, you would see my border collie. He just shoots up and he'll make them scatter instantly. But we're not in danger here. Everything is fine. So when we're not in danger and everything's fine, I need you to calm down. And I'm not trying to add anything to it. I want him to just sit, marinate in it, man. Just sit in it. And just like study and look around and just be able to like figure out, what decision do I want to make now? Do I want to fight, which is going to lead to nowhere? It's not going to help you in any way, because all you're going to do is learn to keep fighting and being on edge every single time. That's probably one of the worst things to be in if you're in fear of something, is to try to fight, because you're only going to fumble and stumble. You're going to do something that is going to be very inappropriate, and you're going to do some things that you're going to regret in reality. You're going to make some things happen that you're going to just say, dang, I wish I would have just taken another 10 seconds because I would have done that differently. But now I can't take back what I've done because I just went in it. That went deep, about not just talking about dogs for a half a second. I hope someone figured that out. But fighting is not going to get you anywhere. You're going to stumble. Then you got the other side of that, which you could flee. You could run away. But here's the problem. with flea. You know, out here, that's easy. There's like a lot of places to go. So it could work at some times and not work in other places. You could flee, you could take off, but when you're in like a small room, where are you gonna run to now? What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? So every time if you thought you've got success by fleeing, at some moment you're going to have to fight. And if you're used to fleeing, you don't have a fight in you. So now you're in a, I don't know what to do. And this is where things are gonna look savage at the end of the day in reality. And that's where for me, you know, I'm still gonna say that if your dog is trying to flee, you want to flee but not run completely away. You want to get some space. You want to give them a little bit of an arch. You want to move them a little bit away from the situation that's going on so they could just look at it from a distance and say, and make that judgment call like, yeah, things are okay. It's all right. Nothing's going on here. So the dog can see that without you doing anything. Not trying to like, look away, look away, look at me, look at me, look at me, go and treat, treat, treat. Not like just yank, 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 get the heck, don't look at that. You don't want to do any of that. You want the dog to become indifferent, which is the main situation that we want to figure out how to be able to get all our fears into. Now, fear into, you get into that fear. This is something that happens to us as humans because it's not like we chose to be scared of things. It just, it happened. And some stuff, unfortunately, it happens and it's out of our control based on what someone has done to us to get us in fear. The same with the dogs. A lot of the fears that the dogs have is something that we have done to the dog to put the dog into fear. And a lot of that starts with the positive and the reward and the punishment. The dog's going through that loop. It's just going and it starts to be unsure of what's expected. So now we're purposely putting the dog into fear. I mean, not on purpose, but the dog is getting into fear because of stuff that we're doing to the dog. And this is where we want the dogs to be able to get to. They get into that fear, and I don't want the dog to freeze to the point that it's like it doesn't know what to do. It just shuts down. It falls. It pees itself, poops itself. It just curls up in a ball. That's not going to get us anywhere either, because at the same time, that is the same as fleeing. You're just freezing because you can't run away. That's where you're going to get stuck in the room. You don't know what to do. You're going to freeze. You're just going to just fold, just quit. You don't want to do that either. You want to be able to give that dog the opportunity to be able to look it through, to make that choice and make that decision of, I don't need to be scared anymore. What's there to be scared of? If everything's fine, everything's set up, this person, because this is the part where the dog starts to really get in tune with us, because that's where we want to show it that we are that leader. Like for instance, today with my Dalmatian, of showing her, like I unfortunately messed up with my shepherd on his visit, not allowing him to see me as that quality leader that I'm not going to put you in danger, man. You may be uncomfortable, like you'll be uncomfortable, but I'm not here to put you in danger. And he ended up feeling that as if he got into danger based on what it is that we just had to do. And but the Dalmatian saw a completely different side of this, because she saw that, dang dude, you're not like being my backup right now, and I'm scared. I need help. And I said, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. This is the process of like shoving your dog and sticking it to the dog park. You'll be fine. You figure it out. And the dog is going to look at you like, what's happening? Are you sure? And then when it has a good interaction with something, and it sees like everything is okay, it's going to say, okay, well, you do know it's good. You do know it's best. But even if she got into that level of fear, I'm still not going to, oh, I need to treat this and pet this and do this. I'm still going to completely ignore, to say that this is just where we are. I don't want you to fight it. I don't want you to run away from it. I want you to just, at the end of the day, a word that is just powerful, that it is what it is. But you're just going to deal with it. Some stuff that we just have to deal with, and it just is what it is. You don't get a choice. You just have to, some stuff just has to happen. You're going to have to just get past it. And this is the part of me where, that's how I see obedience today. If I need my dog to do it in a random one-off here and there type scenario, I'll tell him to do it. But I don't want it all the time. It's just you're going to deal with it when we got to do it sometimes. Sometimes we just have to. We got some things that we got to do. But the main thing is, I just keep on watching these dogs in this level of fear, and me looking at it like, just straight up, me being a selfish dude in reality, looking at my life and just seeing how I'm saying it. There's nothing for you to be scared of here, because in reality, I'm going to say something right now that a lot of people probably have heard this before. And I understand what you're saying by saying it, but it's very damaging. When you see that the kid or the dog or whatever this mainly comes down to the kid. When you were crying, something happened to you, The boy hurt your feelings at school, you was crying. And then your parent says to you, stop that crying before I give you something to cry about. That's the language that we're doing with these dogs. Stop being scared, or I'm going to give you something to be scared about. That's like so horrible to do, but yet that's what we're doing. I know you're scared. I see that you're scared, but I'm going to make you scared of me. And not even, again, just leash pressure isn't the only way of doing that. It is the treats as well. They're both the same here. They're both on an equal stance. I don't care what anybody's got to say with that, because at the end of the day, when you see the dog in the finished end, they both look the exact same. You really don't know what's going on here. And in reality, giving them more treats is it makes the dogs even more erratic, as opposed to the other side. It kind of shuts the dogs and makes them be a little more submissive. But in the end, the dog is still getting the same sense of, I know you're scared. I don't care that you're scared, and I'm going to give you something I'm going to give you something to look at. I'm going to give you something to do. I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to force this to you. I'm going to make you this. I don't care what's going on with you. And that's where we're losing all the trust and respect from the dogs, because we're coming at them like that. We're just saying to them, I don't care anything about you. You can't be that. I'm going to make you be this. And that's not reality. That's not reality. Because that's something that I would say, if the fear was something that is just made up, then you should just be able to get out of it. You should just, why is anybody or anything on this planet in fear of anything? If it was like something that just, it's not valid. It's meaningless. It has no nothingness. We don't get to choose what we're scared of. We don't get to choose that. It happens. It's there. And since we don't get to choose it, we do get a choice of what we're going to do once we get into that scenario. And that's where we need to get out of. The main thing is the fight and the flight go into a reactive mode. It goes straight reactive. You're doing something based on, I'm scared, and you just lash out. You get a text from someone, you're like, oh, that made me uncomfortable, and you just, forget you, you stupid, and you just lash out. You just go crazy. As opposed to just like taking a step back and just saying, why? What's going on? I'm in fear right now. Why? What's going on? What's getting me into this to make me do this? And this is the part of what do you call that? Growth of our own selves. Of you get into that fear, and you got to figure out, where did that fear come from, so that you can get that fear out. And you may not make it disappear, but at least you'll be able to understand where it came from, so that you can be able to get through it and process it without going into reactive mode. This is why a lot of dogs I see today are in this reactive mode, because they don't know how to think it through, because they're being forced what to do without even getting a chance to process what's going on. So instantly, when we see a dog like get scared, we instantly start petting that dog. We don't even give a dog a chance to like even process it. So instantly the dog is like looking for support from us. And then instantly when we start to pet that dog, we're instantly giving that dog support. That's the dog that in a couple of weeks to month is starting to be lunging at the end of the leash. Because that is the technique and the method of how we're training and teaching these dogs to know how to like go off and do what they do. Come here, come here. You're scared, you're scared, you're scared. Okay, now get ready, get ready, get ready. Now fight it away. Fight it away. Go bite that sleeve. Go bite that guy. Fight it away. And they're loving it. They're having fun. But the main thing is, they're not having fun in a healthy way, I'm going to say. Some dogs do. But trying to think that all and any can do that, no. That's not what they're about. They're doing it out of fear. And they have to. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to live, because that's what's going on. Life or death in the mind, it's instant. It's a flash that's going on. The snake, it's going to kill me, so I got to get it out of here. So I got to run away from it, or I got to take care of it. And then in the end, if you're fighting, that's the worst end of the stick, because now you got so much extra to still deal with this fight. It's not like you just got away from it and it's gone. No, now it's still there. Now if you killed the spider's still there. Now you're like contemplating, did I get it good enough? Did I make it happen, or is it still going to be able to come get me? That's something that a lot of people get terrified of a rattlesnake. Just because it's dead don't mean it still can't mess you up, because it still can. That there's still stuff in that snake that if it touched you in some sort of way and you manhandle it, it just had a freak little thing, it's dead, and it can still get you, even when it's dead. So fighting it could put you in way more of a sticky situation in reality. And that's the number one thing that we need to get the dogs and us as humans to figure out how to get out of that. Because that's like the first that goes on. And it's just something that I just see across the board with just like analyzing and paying attention to YouTube and paying attention to Instagram and paying attention to everything. Someone says something that someone doesn't like, and it's like an instant, it's like a I want you dead type language. And I'm like, whoa, buddy, slow down. Get out of reactive mode. And then you, straight up people, I would like for more people to just start studying some things that I'm about to say right now, and just verify this, because this is fascinating. That you can find someone that has said reactive dog, and then you could see how they talk and what they do, and you'll realize that they are a reactive person. That they hear something, they're just instant on it. And then they have a dog that is basically doing that same type of stuff, because we're not able to communicate it through, because our own selves are not even thinking it through. We're just going into like burst mode without just slowing down and processing what's going on. Why am I in fear? Because this is the biggest thing. This is something that I was just listening to on this walk out here today that just really got me thinking. Why is it that we feel like we got to do something when we're scared, as opposed to doing nothing at all? Why is it like we gotta like get into something? Oh, I'm scared. I gotta this. I gotta call someone. I gotta this. I'm nervous. I'm lonely. I'm this. I gotta do something. I gotta go to a club. I gotta drink. I gotta smoke. I gotta this. I gotta have sex. You gotta do something when you get into this fear, as opposed to just like shut up and sit down a moment. Just chill. Just let it go. Let it process and just sit in it. You're scared. Cool. Sit in it. Sit in it and just marinate in it and just do nothing and just be in it. It's something that it's like a life lesson that we're just not about anymore. It's like the moment that you start to get a little anxious, it's like, I gotta go do something. That fear creeps in. As soon as you're a little bit lonely, I gotta go out and I gotta go text and call everyone. Instead of just sitting in it and just saying, what is actually going on here right now? And this is something that, again, if you're not understanding, this is where the dog is going to still be in that. Because you're trying to do something when you see the dog get scared, as opposed to do nothing. Do nothing with this dog. The dog is nervous. Don't even look at the dog. The dog is unsure. Just ignore the dog and have the dog on leash with you and just be with the dog. Allow the dog to be able to see, like, for a fact that it's not getting anything from you to learn what's good or what's bad. Anything that's happening. This is something that is just, I don't, it's amazing for me to see that when I completely ignore these dogs, they start to just relax. They calm down without me being like, because this is where I was messing up with my Johnny man, putting him in that down when he's scared. Down, you stay there. This boy is on edge looking around. He's like, whoa, now I can't move because if I do, I'm in trouble with that guy. But that over there is also scaring me. I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to make happen. So that's where I have to release that and say, best case scenario, just put him on leash. For him, I'm just I got put in faith of he can figure it out because of what we've done for the years that we've been together, that I'm not going to leash him yet. Just to see what he does with these cows. Because the way he bursts and goes into fight mode with these cows is the same way that a lot of y'all dogs burst into mode going after other dogs and people. It's the same thing. It's not like it's anything different and unique. All these dogs have that in them with certain things. But the main thing is they need to know what to do when that sensation comes on. When that sensation of like dread of like, oh my goodness, I'm scared. I'm in deep fear right now. That's the sensation that we need to start communicating to these dogs of what to do in that. Because it's happening all around all the time. And just because my dogs don't do it to dogs, or I mean, he used to, but just because my Johnny is doing it to a cow doesn't mean that he couldn't do that to a dog. Doesn't mean he couldn't do that to a person. Doesn't mean he couldn't do that to a kid. Because that fear can come in. He can get like, I don't know what to do. And I want him to know what to do when that fear happens. Nothing. Nothing. Do nothing. Stand there and look at it and figure out what we're going to do next before we do anything. And the more and more that you do that, the more and more calm that you end up being, the more you're going to make a wise decision. This is why my dogs just don't get in no dog fights with other dogs. Dogs come hostile at mine. I mean, this boy, unfortunately, years ago when he used to be a little crazy, he's been in dog fights before. He's been bit 4, 5, 6 times at least by now. I mean, good bites. The dogs didn't come in and just do this little nip, but they was full grip on dude's leg. He was lipping for days, both of his legs. Dog came in and nipped his butt, bleeding like crazy. This dog's been bit by dogs. And he was hostile himself. But now that he's calm and able to see, like, man, there's a dog running right in my face right now. He's able to, like, not just go to react, go to do anything. He's just going to sit there and process and think it. And that's what the other dog comes to him, and the other dog looks at him like, hey, buddy, hi, what's going on? And there's no tension going on here because he's learned how to deal with that I'm nervous stance. He's learned how to deal with it. He's learned how to be able to figure out a way to be able to, like, do what he needs to do to make things happen. He sees it coming. He stops. He's thinking it through. He's processing it. He calms down. He's like, okay, I want to do this right now. And then he does that, and then we're good to go. No issue, no situation. Everything is fine. But when he's all sporadic and he's just bursting in the reactive mode, that's when sticky stuff happens. Dangerous stuff can happen in that because you're not thinking it through. You're just going off of just drive, just madness. This goes on with so many human beings, man. Someone says something to you and they challenge you and you know you wrong. And that's the part that's just wild to me. You know you wrong. And yet you just react. You just try to do every negative thing you can to somebody to try to just, like, I don't know what that concept is. I just really haven't been a person like that, but I guess in different ways maybe. But it confuses me when we just have to, like, lash out. Just try to, like, haha, I'm on the upper hand now. As opposed to just do nothing. Do nothing. Do nothing and realize that things are fine. something I can say to a lot of people, that a lot of things that you're scared of, as far as like insects, animals, and everything on this planet. Do nothing, because that thing is more scared of you and it's trying to get the heck away. Everyone's so nervous of snakes and this and this. I'm nervous when I see the dang thing just sitting there. I'm like, hey, what you doing, buddy? You should be moving right now. Why are you just sitting there? What's happening? And for me, I'm like, it might be dead, might be sick, might be hurt. And if it's sick or hurt, I definitely want to stay away from it. But in most cases, you keep moving, it's trying to get the heck out of here. The dogs are trying to fight with each other. This is what happens with this guy. When the other dog's looking hostile at him, he's just like, dude, we're moving away. That's when a dog looks at him and is like, oh, okay. We're not staying in it. This is the part where you get into that sense of fear. Don't react. Just know that if you keep moving, that you're more likely going to get out of it. But don't sit still in it. That's when you're going to freeze and sit in it. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. That's when you're going to try to run at it and you're putting yourself in it. That's when you're going to try to run away from it, where it's going to work sometimes, but not all the time. You can't constantly keep running away from things that you're scared of, because something's going to happen that you have to be in it. And if you got the understanding and emotions of just running, when that time happens that you have to deal with it, you're going to fold, man. You're going to fold. And that's what goes on with these dogs. And that's the time that the dog, unfortunately, when it's going to bite something, because it doesn't have an out. That's why, in reality, not most all, but most all that I've even tried to research and understand of real serious dog bites happen inside of the home, not out of the home. We get some weird stuff that happens outside of the home where it's a bite. You might end up in the hospital, get hurt a little bit. But when it comes to like seriousness to the point of death, most times it's in the home, because they can't run away. They can't run away. They've never wanted to fight. They can't run away, but they don't want to just sit in the fear of just realizing that it'll get past if I just let it be. So they have no choice but to just, they're going to do something crazy. They're going to do something wild, because they can't get away from it anymore. And this is what's going on with a lot of just everything on this planet in reality. That we're just going straight into, you said this, I don't like it, I'm uncomfortable, you put me in fear, I'm going to lash out. And then we're putting that on the dogs. And we're thinking that we can, like, we're a superior human being, you know, that we can, you shouldn't be scared. I don't care. I'm not scared of that. Why are you scared of that? You shouldn't be scared. As if they chose that. Because you're not scared of heights doesn't mean that every other human being shouldn't be afraid of heights. Because you're not scared of water. I don't know what it is with me. I'm straight up. I'm nervous as all could be about water. The other day I was out here and I took the shortcut. And the only way to go through the shortcut was going through some water. And I was thinking it was going to go up to my knee at most. But I ended up chest high in some water walking in it. I'm just like a little freaked out right now. I don't know why. I don't know how it happened. I don't know where it came from for me to be that way, but I'm that way. And I talk to I see people in this lake all day, every day. There's people out there right now swimming. That's weird to me. That's so weird to me. I'm just like, oh, heck no. You don't know what's in that water. What's going on? Like something brushing up against my foot. Something's happening. I'm like, you don't know what's going on in there. And I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be scared of that. I wish I could, because then I would will it away. I'd be like, I'm not scared of it anymore. And just be able to go on this planet and do what I do. But that's what we're doing to these dogs. I'm not scared of that, so you shouldn't be. Not realizing that that's not the way this world works. Because that's the unfortunate thing of how, a lot of kids get destroyed. Because you as the adult's not scared of something doesn't mean that the kid isn't. And if we just come in with force, we come in with treats, we're not going to get anywhere with that. We're just going to keep masking the situation, as opposed to just dealing with when you start to get nervous, when you start to get anxious, when you start to get scared, when you start to get frightened. Don't react. Don't respond. But just sit in that and realize that each time it's going to get better and better and better. That's why now when something comes to this dog, because it takes a long time for him to get nervous at this point, because he's been practicing that over and over again. That's why even I can say with my own self that something would happen. I don't know what really makes me too nervous anymore. Outside of walking in that water the other day, I was like, what the heck is happening? But it's like the more and more that I literally just sit in that, the longer the duration will be that I don't go into this like panic and freak out. And that's what we want, is to sit in it. Day one, it might be a second, man. A second, and you're just like, I got to go. Day two, you got 3 or 4 seconds. And hopefully in a month's time, maybe even less than that, then I'm going to be able to see what looks like trigger, look at it, investigate it, allow the feelings to just go through and realize, oh, it's all right. I got a plan and action I could do now. I can either go over here, we could do this, we could do something different, as opposed to just bum rushing and going into it. This is why I personally see like these dogs are struggling. Because for one, we're putting them in fear with the whole, giving them this loopiness, this constant reward and punishment that we're doing with them. They're already in this makeshift manipulated fear. And then then they have their other fears that they're already just afraid of, just who knows why, they just are. And then we're trying to come in and say, don't be scared of that. You shouldn't be scared of that. There's no reason for you to be scared of that. So look at this cookie. Don't be scared of that and use that leash to snap him out of it. And the dog's not learning anything. This is why you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again, because the dog isn't learning. The dog isn't getting past it. The dog isn't processing it. It's just running away or it's fighting. It's not learning how to just be okay and just realize that it's not the end of the world. They're not learning that. That's why it keeps going and going and going. That's why with this dog here, I don't do that anymore. That's why you'll watch in a couple of weeks, and if not days, that my Johnny is no longer going to be on edge with cows anymore, because I'm going to make him just sit in it and go through it. Go through it. I was watching him real sharp eye on that video that I did yesterday of at the end of it when he was just walking around. You could see him. He's panting. He got his tongue. He's like looking at him. He was so close to him. He's like 2 feet looking at him. He's like, what's happening? But since he was so calm that whole time of just me just not telling him what to do, but just go over there is what I said to him. And I allowed him to do. He was sitting for a little, he was standing for a little, sat for a little, he laid down for a little, and he was just chilling out. And then they got closer and he's like, whoa, nothing happened. They didn't come and like attack me. We're safe still. And he just was able to dance through the situation. And every single day that I just keep allowing him to do that, he'll get more and more and more time of realizing that it takes longer for him to get to that, like, holy crap, I got to do something. And then he just, man, I think I got a video one way. I might have to show it somehow. He just jumps on the cow and just like from 10 feet away, jumps and just plows into the things. And he don't know what he's doing. That's all that he does. He just plows right into them to try to like get them rattled up to go and run somewhere. Because the thing that scares him is the bull, because the bull doesn't run. He'll do that to him and he just stops and stares at him like, what are you going to do next? And that scares the heck out of that dog. He's like, man, I came at you with all that I have and you're still not affected. And that puts him in even more fear, as opposed to there's no reason for him to be in fear, because there's nothing to fear. They're not out to come and hurt you. They're not here to come to destroy you. They're not out here to do anything to you. They're just trying to live. They're just trying to have their lives. They're just trying to be in peace with what they have. And you're kind of interrupting that peace. So of course they're going to have to give retaliation from you interrupting that peace. That's what goes on with my shepherd. When dogs try to run and interrupt his peace, it's like, hey, buddy, get the hell out of here. And he's like, and I'm like, what's up, man? And the other dog just walks away like, I'm sorry, he wasn't the one. I was like, he's not the one. And I don't dictate that. He does that on his own free. He makes that happen because it takes him so long to get to that point of like, oh my goodness, something bad is going to happen. And it takes so long, and he's gotten more and more success with that, more and more practice with that, more reps of that, more reps of dealing with being in fear and doing nothing. That's the more reps that you need. That's what's going to get your dog out of it. As opposed to the first thing that we're doing is just like leash. You're not getting out of that. You're just going to stay in it. You may get weeks and days and months that sometimes it's better, but you're just constantly still on it. You're constantly like just in it, man. You can't get out of it. Then you're giving them treats and a dog. You just keep doing it. You keep doing it because you're not teaching the dog how to just deal, how to do nothing. That's my main thing that I really want a lot of people to just really understand about a lot of stuff with these dogs. Is stop thinking that you got to do something. Just do nothing. When your dog is acting away, why do you need to do something? The more that you do, the more that you're adding confusing language out there, because you do not know how to speak dog. This is the part with me that I used to be on board with. Oh, we use the leash because that's how the dog corrects the dog. The dog knows that I'm a human being. It knows that I'm not a dang dog. The dogs know that. The dog is not going to treat me like a dog. It's going to treat me like a human being that I am. It knows that I'm not a dog. So I'm not going to try to communicate to a dog like I'm a dog to a dog when I'm a human being talking to a dog. This is where we're messing things up. It sounds good. It sounds pretty. It makes you feel good in you. It's like, yeah, I'm correcting my dog like the mom's correcting the dog, or I'm correcting them like how dogs do each other. But the dogs know that we are not dogs. And that's why at the end of the day, the dogs that I personally have seen that are biting people really do think that you're a dog. That's why they bite you, because they're playing with you. They'll bite your neck. They'll bite your arms. They dig deep, because that's what dogs do to each other. They chew on each other. They wrestle tough, and they're rough, man. They're hardcore with not all of them, but the ones that they do that, man. This dog, he wrestle. You put his whole mouth, he go full grip. Not that he's like hurting, biting, doing anything, but they pull the skin. They do it because the dogs got a lot of skin, but we don't. So they do one little puncture here, and that's a dead kid, because it's treating it like it's a dog, because we're thinking that we're trying to be teaching them like a dog. I'm a dog. I'm going to be the dog to my dog. No, you're a human being. Be that. Represent that. And the dog's going to want to follow you. And we're coming with all this extra weirdness That's why the dogs don't want to follow us. That's why we got to keep doing it, doing it, doing it. That's why for me, I'm just fascinated with seeing how I can, especially today, that I could take dogs out of, this is the thing that it doesn't make sense, but I just have to keep doing it. That I could take your reactive dog and I can get it to stop doing that when it's just me. You're gone, you disappear, and the dog is with me. The dog is different. Your dog will look like this in a day's time. I've done this so many times. But then the dog goes right back to owner, and the dog is just wanting to act a fool again. It just wants to be wild and crazy again. So this is why for me, I know it has nothing to do with what like the training technique to do to the dog. It has the training technique to do to us as humans. Do nothing. Calm down. Relax. Chill. Be calm. Sit down. Hang out with the dog. Go to places. Hang out with the dog. Stop trying to do anything with, don't even try to interact with the dog when you see the dog is dancing around, is getting nervous. Completely ignore the dog. Don't try to pull and yank and do anything. Do none of that. Don't try to like do this and pets. Do nothing. Nothing. And watch how you're going to be allowed that dog to, at first, no, it's going to be hard because the dog is going to do what it's been doing. It's going to react instantly. But each time that you do nothing, the dog is going to be able to get through those emotions. It's going to be able to do something. And that's the power of walking away. When you see that you're walking close to something, not walk away, but get a distance. When you see that something's coming, you see that your dog is starting to build. Before that dog gets to that, like, I'm going forward and doing something, it's got a fight mode. Get a little bit of a distance so that dog could just like sit in that feeling of overwhelm, of just extreme excitement. Just sit in it and just sit in it and see that nothing bad is happening, nothing's going on. And then that dog will be able to know what that feeling is. And it'll be able to just deal with that feeling as opposed to just explode the second that that feeling comes on. That's what most people's dogs are doing right now. They're exploding because that feeling, they don't know what to do with it. They got to do something as opposed to do nothing. Thank you. Something about these dogs that the more I keep on like just questioning what the heck we're doing to them, the more I just keep seeing how we're doing everything wrong in a way that we're trying to do right, but it's the wrong way of trying to do right. And we're trying to do something to try to help out, but that help out is actually making it worse. And I think that that's where we're having a huge disconnect with dogs today, because they're not used to our world, for one, how fast and what we're trying to force them to adapt to it. And then since we're putting them in like concrete farms, you know, houses, apartments, all this place, and hundreds and thousands of people living around all on top of each other. They're not used to that. They're used to like living here, man. This is what dogs are used to, like not even 30 years ago. Today, we're like concentrated, especially the past 5 years, we're concentrated. And these dogs are gonna be scared. And when the dog is scared, I know we wanna like, oh, it's okay, baby. I got you, it's okay, pet that dog. But that's the last thing that you wanna do. That's the beyond last thing that you should be doing. When you see that your dog sees another dog and is getting nervous, the last thing you should be doing is like, oh, please look at me, give it a treat. Give it some pets. Try to pull it, yank it away. That's the last thing that we should be doing. Because I know it's like we want to, because it's almost like a natural thing for us to do as humans. But that's going to work on a child. But that's not going to work on the dog. This is where there's the differences here. Some stuff, it's super similar. But there's other things that, understand, folks, these are dogs. These are dogs. They're animals. And they don't use and work on affection the same way that we as humans do. They don't love the same way as and respect and do all that the same way 100% as we as humans do. They're dogs, and we want to treat them as such. So when your dog is, now you used to live on a farm and now you're in the city, or the dog was in the shelter and who knows where it was, and now the dog is in a new setting and it's nervous, the main thing you want to do is, this is going to be hard, but please ignore the dog. Ignore it. Don't pay any attention to it. It comes trying to jump, oh, please save me, please save me. Just like, no, buddy, get off me, you're fine. Because you know that your area is safe, so the dog is going to be able to come to you to realize like, okay, I'm gonna go to that person because they are safe. But if that dog is scared and you're just like holding it, the dog's like, dang, you're just as scared as me. What are we gonna do here? You don't want two scared beings together. You want a confident one, and that scared one is going to get to be with that confident one. Even if they're still scared, they're going to want to take your lead because they're going to see how confident you are. And this is going to start in the home. And then it's going to start in your front yard. And this is going to start when you start taking small walks around the block. A lot of times we're rushing it we're doing too much. You know, I know you want to go for a walk, but if your dog's not ready for it, don't do it. Don't waste your effort. because all you're going to do is destroy that dog every single time. If the dog is scared and you're trying to throw something, do something, add something, change this, do anything but nothing, you're just going nowhere. And there's no reason to keep doing that. It's something that I wish if anyone would want to listen to anything that I have to say about these dogs, is please, when you see that they're scared and nervous and worried, just leave the dog alone. Put the dog on a leash and just allow the dog to just get through that. Allow the dog to be able to feel that. And please, in the same time, us as humans, if you get in that sense, just sit in it. It's not the end of the world. Everything is going to be okay. And we don't need to like rush into something to try to escape that feeling. The more that you embrace that, the more that you just sit in that anxiousness of like, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. The more you sit in that, the more you're going to be able to, I guess like I say, is tolerate that. The more immunity you're going to build up to it. So that when it comes on, it's just like, oh, whatever, we can move forward now. And it's like a flash. It just comes in and it goes and you move on. But if you never do that, you're always trying to escape to something, to go to something, to do to something, to add this, or trying to run away from something. The more that each time it happens, it's going to get worse and worse and worse to the point that it's overwhelming. And it gets to the point of overwhelming that, unfortunately, people today, they're taking it too far by ending their own lives because they can't deal with that. And that's something that's going on. That's something, at the end of the day, is going on with dogs, man. They're willing to die to get out of the situation. That's why they're going into battle, man. They're going into battle. They're not even sure they're going to win. They know they're not going to win, but they're going into battle. My dang Johnny, he going into a battle that he's not going to win. He's not going to win. He's going to win compared to the females, but he's not going to win to that bull. That bull's going to drop him. And he tried that with the donkey, and he realized it ain't worth it. You don't chase a donkey no more at all, period. Because the donkey looked back at him and chased him around for at least an hour one day. And I just let it happen. Just to show him, like, buddy, there's nothing to worry about out here. You leave him alone, he leave you alone, and we in harmony. But the more that you try to have this hostility, thinking that you tough or thinking that you're going to gotta fight, the more that you're putting yourself in a situation you're going to die. And we want to get our dogs out of that as much as possible. And that's why I'm looking at every little thing with my dogs to figure out how to be able to get them to be better and better and better. Because something about my Border Collie that this dog is incredible compared to all of my rest. Because every single thing that he's the only one that I really got is a puppy. And he's the one that I got that every single time I saw that he was nervous, I would just stand there and hang out. I saw that he got nervous of the goats because they came bum rush him. We just stood there and hung out. This is what we doing, man. And he got through every single, he would hear something in the woods, would stand there and hang out. And then I would like walk in and investigate it. And he's just like, he is so confident that he knows when that feeling comes on of that doom and gloom, he turns into like, nothing, I'm good. Nothing go fade. And he's quick. You could just watch him just get like nervous and then get right out of it instantly. And he just moves on like nothing's going on. So he could be barking, oh, that scared me, he was nervous, and he just, well, it's done. It's instant. It's not no 5 hours that he's still pacing and moving and doing and going, and because that's what most of these dogs are doing. Something that I just want more people to understand. The main thing is the fear. You just got to sit in it. And when you just sit in it, you'll get through it. And when you get through it, you're going to see something different. More than likely, you're not going to be scared of it anymore. You're going to be able to just handle it. Something that is just powerful. Thank you.